I'm coming to you from Beacon, New York, and I figured I would just tell you a little bit about what's been going on here. Um, Today, we read a passage from the Gospel of John where Jesus tells the disciples that after he has died, he'll be revealed to them again, and that the Great Spirit will come and teach them everything and remind them of what he taught. As I reflected on it this week, it made me think about the ways that the Spirit is moving in our communities as the Freedom Church. It's hopeful to witness how folks are coming together to love each other harder than ever in spite of empire. I think it reflects both how much trouble is in the land and how strongly the Spirit is stirring to set things right, to give life and resist death-dealing systems and realize the world that we need. One of my favorite things about Christianity is that it holds up the leadership of a revolutionary who died a criminal's death, exposing the violence of empire and revealing the goodness of God. And that's who Christians follow, not kings or empires. Our allegiance is to God, which means seeking life and liberation for all people. It's been a while since I've been in this Zoom room, so I thought I'd give an update on how the Spirit is moving in my community and the ministry that I started here. It started as a conversation group a year and a half ago called Sunday Deep Talks, and since then it's evolved into an art center based in creativity and community care as a spiritual practice. And it's now located in the basement of a Presbyterian church here in Beacon, New York. The original idea for Sunday Deep Talks was just to hold intentional space for meaning making and spiritual seeking in our week, and to do it with the most simple structure we could. It was as a kind of sacred text study, but with broadly defined sacred texts, which open us up into a conversation. Similar to a Bible study like we do in Freedom Church, we talked about what lines stood out to us, what came up for us as we read, and our conditions. Each week, the conversation takes us to a place that we didn't expect, allowing us to process and metabolize challenging things. And by the end, it always takes us to a place of concern for our world and a desire to transform society. Through cultural arts work, we see this kind of turn happen over and over again. We start with our personal stories, and those stories open up into a calling for communal care that's centered in our common needs and our rights as human beings. I believe that when we create the conditions for meaningful dialogue and connection, there's a natural calling to care for each other and the world, and to engage in social action. Deep Talks started as a small experiment in this kind of community building, but it's grown into something more. It's continuing as a weekly program of a larger initiative called Songbird Studio, which is an art studio based in creativity and community care as a spiritual practice. People from all religious and spiritual backgrounds are welcome, including those who don't consider themselves religious at all, but are maybe looking for a place to explore religion and spirituality without having to believe anything in particular. The mission is to be a space for multicultural communal art projects, critical conversations, performances, and music, bringing together grassroots organizers, artists, and spiritual seekers who want to take care of their neighbors and build a better world. We plan events and programs with different faith groups, art groups, and activist groups because we want to be a place for people to make art together, but also to do community organizing and mutual aid. And part of what we do is pay attention to the organizing efforts that are happening in the area and support them however we can. One example is the community kitchen that we started called Fairground Welcome Table. It came into being this past January. Our church has had a soup kitchen for the past 18 plus years, and in November, the leadership stepped down. For a couple months, the session was wondering what to do with the program, and they were growing concerned about the urgent need for meals since another soup kitchen in town had also closed. We reached out to a local food justice program called Fairground to see if they wanted to collaborate, and we quickly started a new community kitchen centered in mutual aid and solidarity, not charity, which is different from the charity model of the former soup kitchen. Everyone is invited to help cook and serve as well as to eat, and we serve about 100 meals each week with food left over to add to the community fridges. It's especially fun to have so many kids involved with the whole process. We connect community organizing meetings and art builds to the dinners by holding them in the basement at the same time or just after. So people can come and get food and then attend a meeting. When people gather regularly, they discover ways to help their neighbors. We need more places to get together and take care of each other, to check in, build community, and connect with folks. Churches are supposed to be a place to do that. With the current conditions, it's really important that churches support organizing efforts, partnering with local groups to establish broad networks of resources and care. The world we need to create already exists in pockets, and the Spirit can connect us. I've been thinking a lot about how art is how we fight fascism. Creating things together has the power to connect us, to tell the truth about our conditions, and subvert harmful forces. We have a kids group called Songbird Kids Art Collective, which is a group that works on socially conscious, nature-based art together. For this week's project, we were working on our pollinator garden, and we learned about pollinator pathways, which is how pollinator insects can travel between food sources. It made me think about how we can design our networks as organizers and learn from nature. The good news is that the world we seek to create already exists in these pockets across the nation and across the world. We can link them up. It's by creating communities of solidarity and mutual care that we can envision a better world together, resist harmful systems, and ultimately transform the world. I think it's important that churches are concerned with creating these networks of care, access to resources, and asking how we can help create the pathways for the Spirit to move. May it be so.